Did you know that 1.66 billion people purchased goods online in 2017? Do you know how to capture their attention? Is that why you're here? Look, I've got something for you here based on Gary Vee's new book, Crushing It, and I'm ripping it apart and telling you how to start applying it in your business today to start generating leads. Let me tell you what today's about. It's about stop trying to be everything to everybody and start being able to pick your niche and lead with value. So hopefully you're understanding. If you're attending it weekly, I'm going live Thursday at 3:33 every single week and teaching you how to implement what Gary Vee is calling crushing it. So if you want to crush it in your business and your life and live life on your terms, make sure you attend weekly and I'm going to walk you through how to actually apply this. So again, using social media is going to allow you to become an influencer where you can get endorsements, sponsors, people pay you to promote their products, and you can use your influence to generate leads through video by direct marketing your existing sphere. So you're probably still sitting there saying, okay, I kind of get it. I get that live video is important. That's why I'm here. But help, Crystal, help. How? And that's how do I actually apply this? Well, I'm glad you asked, because chances are if you don't know how to get started, you're paralyzed. You have so much information, and Gary Vee, I love what really matters. He gives you 8 principles that really matter, and he breaks them down. They're authenticity, intent, speed, patience, work, focus, attention. They all come out in content. Yes, he says integrate these things so you can leverage the internet to start building your personal brand. But how? So welcome to 333 Academy, because we are talking about how do I live stream marketing mastery seminars. And if you're looking for learning how to apply the Gary Vee crushing it philosophy for your business, you're in the right place. And if you're watching this in replay, I want to say thank you. Now, this week specifically, again, we're talking about the #1 step to begin to apply what Gary Vee is calling crushing it. So if you want to crush it in your business, you need to start taking action. And he tells you massive action is required, but he doesn't tell you the first step. So I want to really walk you through what it is you need to do. Last week, we talked about 13-step process to actually begin to apply this. I walked you through really filling up before you get started and how to leverage live video and all of these things I walked you through. So make sure you watch last week. This week, again, I've got 2-part for you around the buyer persona. I'm going to tell you the top 5 reasons that Gary Vee would tell you to do your buyer persona. And then I've got a 7-step process on how to actually complete your buyer persona. Next week, we're talking about specific strategies to increase engagement. Again, I'm not talking philosophy, I'm talking strategy and how you can actually apply what Gary Vee is talking about. So next week, you'll see in part 1, he talks really about what still matters in those 8 principles. Then he goes into pick your pillar content. That's what we talked a little bit about last week. Now this week, he's going into really breaking down each and every channel. And that's next week where we're going to talk about specifically what he recommends for each channel. So stay tuned. That's going to be a really great one where you're going to get specific strategies to increase your engagement. And then we're going to finish out this 5-part series with how to leverage your existing sphere and pick your technology and budget. So I'm Crystal Lindsay with 333 social media, digital marketer, entrepreneur, and college professor. And I want to help you harness the power of live video. That's right, get ready to ride the sweet ride, because when you harness the power of live video, nothing can stop you. It's the only way to connect with your clients second to meeting in person. So I want to give a special shout out to the people who inspire me most. Gary Vee, you are rocking it. You know I'm ripping this apart, but you know I love you too. That's why we're doing this, right? I also want to give a special shout out to Tim Ferriss. He's our next book in this How Do I Live Stream Mastery Seminar, where I'm taking his 4-hour work week and applying it to live stream. I also want to give a special shout out to Ian Garlic, who really inspired me on how to use case studies within storytelling branding to generate results. And of course, Ryan Dice, the digital marketer, loved the content optimization and the funnel optimization specifically. But Gary Vee's where it's at right now, so we're kicking it off with Gary Vee's book first, then we're taking it back to Tim Ferriss next, then we go to the Gary Vee Crush It book, the original one, and then we jump into Tony Robbins, Unleash the Power Within. Are you excited? Because all of these books bring something unique to you as an entrepreneur, but what they don't do is how to tell you to start to apply these tips in social media in the most effective way to generate leads. And after the January 11th algorithm update on Facebook, now more than ever, you have to make comments and get comments to get seen. And how do you get comments? Live video. Because live video outperforms pre-recorded video 10-1. Studies show that people engage 10 times more with your content through live video. That's why I'm going live right now. I want you to comment. I want you to engage. I want to help you apply this to your business. So again, 10-1. So make sure that you're using live video and not just some type of social media strategy where you're posting out content. Those days are long gone, okay? So get ready, because we're in the third of a 5-part series to teach you how you can live life on your own terms, which is what Gary Vee says 100 times over in this book. And that is when you're doing something you love, where you would already be doing it, but you're getting paid to do it, where you have the flexibility within your life to be able to do it. But he's also talking about working 16 to 18-hour days. Now, hey, as a digital marketer and entrepreneur, I'm guilty of it, okay? Just yesterday, I woke up at 4 a.m. and I worked until I went to bed at 8 p.m. So trust me, 16-hour days are part of it when you want to be successful. But what I want to teach you is you don't have to do that all the time, and you do need to delegate, and that's why I'm bringing in Tim Ferriss. So, with Gary Vee, he gives the 8 principles of what really matters. And this, again, we're going to integrate into this whole training today on how to apply Gary Vee. And again, those 8 areas of what really matters for Tony Robbins is intent, authenticity, passion, patience, speed, work, attention, and content. That's the new one for this book. That wasn't in the previous one. He's also telling you to niche up. He says that 100 times over. He said, look, if you want to be the next best whiskey grammer on Instagram, you need to have some darn good content if you're the 88th whiskey grammer. So what I'm trying to say there is maybe somebody's already picked your industry and is killing it on social, but niche up even further and you will make your splash. Again, 1.66 billion people purchased goods online last year. So what you need to do is niche up and get in front of the people who need your services specifically. He also talks about document versus creating. Document your business, but create tips of value. How do you know what to create in your tips? Huh? Are you just sitting around? Are you thinking out of thin air? Are you just gonna like play it up by the seat of your pants, right? Or are you going to write down very high level sophisticated terms and start breaking them down? Guess what? People buy at level 1, 2, 3 of understanding, and you're probably an 8, 9, 10. So I'm really coaching you on how to bring it down to that level 1, 2, 3 of understanding so you can start applying this for your business. That's why you need the buyer persona, all right? And one of the things I really admire about Gary Vee, man, is he says, don't overthink it. Just create content. So look, I wanted to use Switcher Studio today. Long story short, Wi-Fi didn't work. I don't have multiple camera angles. I wanted to show you this and show you that. I want to be able to write on the board really cool things here, right? But look, I'm not going to overthink it or stop the show. We're going to continue because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how many camera angles you have. It matters if you're actually creating it. Because as Ian Garlic says, version done is way better than version none. So again, I am Crystal Lindsay with 333 Social Media. I speak at California Association of Realtors, San Diego Association of Realtors, Orange County Association of Realtors, hopefully Beverly Hills Association of Realtors. Okay, we specialize in real estate. We help real estate agents and entrepreneurs figure out how to use live video marketing to generate leads. I specifically specialize in helping real estate agents how to use storytelling, branding to generate leads in live video. Okay, so that's my approach, is really leveraging live video because again, it outperforms 10-1, and that's what you need to get seen. But everybody kept saying to me, you must be a big Gary Vee fan, right? Gary Vee? Let me tell you, I wasn't a Gary Vee fan. Shh, don't tell him though. But you know, he did say in his book that like 3 out of 10 of his most strongest fans actually didn't like him when they met him. So I have to say, I loved his content and his gusto for getting people to stop making excuses and start taking action. But he's a little crass, you know, with the cussing and real in your face, real New Yorker, you know. And I get it, but it just didn't really resonate with my touchy, feel good, you know, type of inspiration. But once I read his book, I'm just enthralled. This is the second time reading it through and I can't put it down. So my biggest critique of the book though is that they don't talk about live video in the book. Now, we spent all of last week talking about what that means and the implications of it. I dropped a few statistics here. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. But what I want to really emphasize and the difference between Gary Vee and I is that Gary Vee is saying you need to work 20 hours a day and throw your life into it and do something you're passionate about and get seen on social media by responding back in the comments, by being human, by putting out good content, by niching up, by documenting, by creating. Yes, yes, yes. But again, he's not saying you need to do live video. And if you don't get that, you're going to do yourself a big disservice. So make sure you take the time to learn how to use live streaming and live video so that you can break through the noise and start becoming an influencer using all of the tactics he's teaching. He's just not saying outright you need to do live video. He also doesn't talk to you about the profitability and how to apply Pareto's principle to your business to figure out the most profitable service. That's what we're talking about today. So again, he says you just need to niche up in a true New Yorker sense of like pull yourself up by your bootstraps and just niche up. Okay, I get it. I hear you, Gary Vee. I hear you. You're right. But how? You didn't give us any tips on how to niche up, how to pick our niche. And that's why I'm so passionate about today's broadcast. And I'm bringing some fire because I want you to be able to actually apply this. I'm so tired of hearing people say they got good ideas or good insights or they want to do these things, but they're afraid to go on camera or they don't know what to say. Once you finish today's broadcast, you will never have a time in your life where you say you don't know what to post online. Now, let me give you an example. For example, I worked with a client who was coming from a place of wanting to go live because I told him it's important. He understands the statistics. He's probably about, I'd say maybe 60-year-old gentleman working in landscape architecture. And when I said, look, all you have to do is hit this button. I will repurpose it. I'll write your subtitles. I'll boost it. I'll make your mega list. I'll do all the things I'm telling you to do on the strategy seminars because he paid me. I'm like, I will do all of these things for you. I'm going to rock it, but you need to turn your phone on and hit just this button. In 2 clicks, you can go live. But he says, oh, the scary button. So he was so intimidated by going live. And he said, even after working with me for over a year, we're getting good results, he was still afraid of going live. Now, during this last year, we've been working a lot in LinkedIn appointment setting and using Facebook a lot. And it's just a huge missed opportunity because it's completely uncertain about what is good content. Now, I use the analytics, I figure out the top performing post, lowest performing post, I walk him through this and help him create his content. But what matters is not, and this is what I want you to understand, what matters is not necessarily what you're talking about. It matters what your clients care about. So stop trying to talk about things you want people to care about and start talking about the things that they already care about. In this case, this client, when he was talking to me, he says, look, I know people struggle with the engineering problems and these can delay the timing of the construction and the budget can go up and these things happen and we need to make broadcasts about these very high level things. And I said to him very clearly, look, you're a level 10 of a professional knowledge in your field. If not, he's like level 15. This man knows it all, okay? So he's a level 10. But what I needed him to understand is that people buy at level 1, 2, and 3, right? So we need to shift that focus, I told him, right? Shift that focus away from these really high-level problems to what he's passionate about and what he wants to talk about because he's an expert in the field, and shift it to the beginning of the buying cycle. What questions were his ideal clients asking him before they signed up? See, it's different, right? Apply this to your business or to your industry. And when you first meet a client and you're saying, hey, I'm going to do these things for you, maybe you hear the same concerns or the same questions, maybe you hear different ones. But what is always true is that those questions they ask you right before they sign on the contract is very different on what they ask you at the end of your time together when you're wrapping up the contract. So just know, if you're looking for new clients using live video, you need to use this process of the buyer persona to bring it back to the basics on what they actually care about. And don't worry, I'm going to teach you how. I'm not just going to give you some philosophy. No, this is actual application, okay? So again, I really help the client be able to see that this shift into documenting and creating was all that really mattered as long as he was using live video. Now, we've been able to set up a weekly broadcast where he's able to interview his LinkedIn counterparts that we've been prospecting and staying top of mind awareness with. We're also able to leverage existing influencers for influence by tagging them in the post. We're also able to go and see results 10 times of what we were getting before video. Again, nothing changed. His niche has been the same since we started working together. His content has been on point since I've been doing his social media. We have been able to repurpose all of the flat still images to LinkedIn, but he still wasn't getting the engagement he was looking for. Why not? Because it wasn't going live. So again, today is the buyer persona about the #1 way to apply this Gary Vee's book and start taking action. But I just want to drill home. Don't apply Gary Vee's book and do your buyer persona and then start posting some still images or a blank blog or words that nobody's going to read. Look, the average attention span is 8 seconds. You need to be able to pop and prop in the first 3 seconds, as I call it, to capture somebody's attention and get them to click on your video. You need to be more than a talking head, and you need to leverage live video in order to get seen. Then and only then can you be like this client here and begin to leverage your influence, leverage your existing sphere, increase your reach, lower your cost of marketing, and become an asset and an influencer in your industry. All right? So one thing that we realized with this client, and what I want you to understand, is that taking action is easy. Absolutely easy. All right? So keep this in your mind. It is easy when you know what to do. All right? It's easy when you know what to do. And that again is why we're doing this today, because I want it to be easy for you. I want you to know the exact steps, and I want you to be able to say, this is what is working. These are the best practices that you don't have to stumble through, a social media marketing world or Gary Vee's blog posts or all these blog posts, everybody telling you what you need to do for live video, and you could just break through based on the tips I'm giving you. I do this for real estate agents and entrepreneurs every single day. And the #1 thing I do with every single client, regardless of if you're in the fashion industry, children's book, if you're doing landscape architecture, real estate, or mortgage, we start with the buyer persona. This is how you create a professional level social media campaign and empower you as the entrepreneur real estate agent to start creating content without thinking about it. Now, the top 5 reasons, this is why I say you need to do the buyer persona. This is in crystal language. But what I want you to know is from our dear friend Gary Vee here, why he would say you need to do your buyer persona. So I'm going to extrapolate a little bit and put on my Gary Vee hat and think from his perspective here. I've got 5 reasons why Gary Vee says to do your buyer persona. 1 is you need to inform all of your pillar content marketing efforts. Now, he spends a lot of time talking about pick your pillar content. Pick your channel that you're going to go live from as your broadcast kind of hub, and then figure out what type of content you can then go live on and then transcribe and turn into blogs and tweets and posts and put across all of your channels. So the process he gives is where you're going to be able to take a triangle, right? It's kind of a pyramid. It's the Gary Vee pyramid scheme. So up here at the top, we're going to go live. That's a little camera, okay? And then over down here, now we're going to have 1, 2, 3 blogs out of that piece of content. Now, I train people on how to get the free YouTube transcription by taking any video, whether you do on Facebook Live or whatever, Periscope, whatever, and putting it on YouTube. You get a free transcription with just a little bit of editing hack, all right? So here you go live, and then here's your blog, and then you splinter off each one of those into 3 kind of mini posts. And then from there, you splinter those 3 off into your tweets, right? And then here, so you can really repurpose all the way down this chain, all right? So in order to be able to go live on a topic that you're then going to write 3 blogs on, get 5 mini blogs, have 15 social media posts and 30 tweets, you have to have a content that actually matters to your target audience. And that's why I'm saying, stop talking about what you think is important and start talking about what they think is important, right? So intent, he says intent a lot in the what matters section, right? The most important part of marketing is intent. You need to lead with value and be intended to create value for your niche. But you need to know your niche in order to create that intent. So that also increases your message to market match. Think about it like this. As a marketer, I started this firm with a real estate agent and an interior designer. If I had an article on the top 10 ways to create leads for an interior designer on social media, and I sent that to my interior designer client, would they find that to be valuable? Now, they absolutely would find that to be valuable. Would they read it? Would they use it? Who knows, right? Would they do business with me because I sent it with them? All those are variables, but at least they know I thought of them, and it creates top of mind awareness, all right? Message to market match. So then I take that same article and I send it over to my real estate agent. Top 10 ways for an interior designer to get leads on social media. Are they going to find that valuable? No. So again, if you don't have your niche, you don't have message to market match, you're not going to have a higher click-through rate. You're not going to see the responses you're looking for. You're not going to see people come out of the woodworks and raise their hands and self-identify as your clients. So you need to have that intent to inform your pillar content, all right? The next thing I need you to do is to niche up. I need you to inform on what you should be creating every single week. So we talked about informs your pillar content, right? This is how you're going to do that. Now we talk about it informs your niche. So I just talked with a gentleman today, and he's very active in several different industries. He's starting an Amazon store, he has an interest in travel, he has a lot of different things going on in his life. And I would say he's 5, let's say average of level 5 of expert knowledge in, let's say, all the fields. Maybe some he's 7, maybe he's 8, maybe some he's 3, but he's a jack of all trades. So if you can relate to this, stick with me here. In that case, I'm really encouraging him to figure out what makes him authentic. Where does his passion come from? Where is he focusing his attention in his personal life? And so one of the questions I asked him was, when was the last time you lost track of time? Now, when was the last time you lost track of time, and how does that relate to the buyer persona? Well, look, Gary Vee says in order to live life on your own terms, you need to do what you're passionate about. And so if you don't know your niche, then you're not able to authentically show up and talk about how you're changing people's lives. All right? So again, in order for you to niche up and really show up authentically and passionate, just as Gary Vee wants you to, you need to have a niche. The next thing is it enables what Gary Vee is known for, which is the hustle, right? He is known for work, which is one of his 8 things that matter. So you'll never have writer's block again if you're able to just push through and get to work, right? The last thing you want as an entrepreneur is where you're staring at a blank screen and you're just trying to figure it out and you're wasting time. You could be spending that time doing so many other things to build your business. So you'll never have writer's block again once you complete your buyer persona. The last 2 is that it allows patience. Now, this was another one of his virtues, his values here of what really matters. It allows you to create a patience around an annual strategy. So hopefully you know social media is not an overnight success. Look, it takes time. I can show you how to go live, leverage your existing sphere, use that buyer persona, and you can get leads off your very first Facebook Live. Very many times, so many times my clients get their first client off of their very first live. So it's very possible. I'm not saying it doesn't work, but what I'm saying is the long-term game takes patience to be successful. So you need to have an annual strategy, and each month needs to be tied into the topic of what your client already cares about. So it allows you to have patience. It also gives you speed. That's something he's really known for, right? He actually started showing behind the scenes footage of his 18-hour days and how hard he hustles and how quickly he works. You know, this is in the short term. You got to make sure you're focused and have bursts of energy, break through those barriers and take massive action, right? So in order to make your broadcast more successful, you need to have speed at being able to jump into it and know what you're going to do and know what makes makes the biggest difference, right? So in order to do that, you're going to pop and prop in the first 3 seconds. So in my case, I got a Gary Vee book and I'm coming up like, what? So then you click on the video. I'm not just a talking head. I got a prop and I popped. You know what I mean? But your pop and prop is based on what your client already cares about, right? So the next thing you want to know is what questions to ask them to generate comments. Again, the name of the game in live broadcast is to get comments. So you need to know what questions to ask them to elicit comments, all right? You also need to know what kind of downloads or resource to offer as kind of clickbait or reasons for people to give you their email after the broadcast. You need to know what influencers or people to tag in order to increase and synergize with them. That's free marketing. So again, Gary Vee is an influencer who I'm going to tag in this broadcast. One day he'll know my name too, you know what I mean? But in the meantime, I'm promoting his content, so I'm becoming an asset to him, but that's because he's an influencer reaching my target audience already. And I respect what he's doing. You know what I mean? All right. So the next thing is you want to know the actual topic of what you go live. Oftentimes when I do the buyer persona, I actually help people understand the FAQs, the obstacles, the concerns that people have. Again, we're going to jump into how to do this right now in just a moment. But in that moment, they realize, they have an epiphany. Oh, you mean that question that they always ask me right before they sign is what I should do a Facebook Live on? Yes. If you have an FAQ section on your website, each FAQ is a Facebook Live broadcast, all right? And you'll also be able to write more effective posts by being able to engage them in, are you struggling with this? Do you need this? How do you know what they need if you don't have a niche? How do you know if you didn't do your buyer persona? So again, I'm going to stop talking about why you need to do a buyer persona and give you my 7-step process on how to complete it. Comment below though and play devil's advocate and what else you need to do first instead of the buyer persona. Because I challenge you, again, regardless of industry, I always start with the buyer persona. What do you think is most important? Comment below. All right. So the 7-step process to complete your buyer persona starts with 1. I know, Captain Office, reporting to duty. So step number 1 is make sure you understand Pareto's principle, 80-20 rule, and how it applies to your business. Now, I know you're like, look here, Crystal, I thought you were committed to giving me real steps. This is just philosophy. No. This is the only one of philosophy. The other ones are real steps. But you need to understand the content and the concept before you can apply it, all right? So let me break it down for you. Pareto's principle, and this is why I love Tim Ferriss and why I'm doing his book next, because he talks a lot about this. Pareto's principle is when you apply this concept that regardless of industry, regardless of business, regardless of topic, regardless, 80% of your efforts is making 20% of your revenue. And 20% of your revenue, or your efforts, is making 80% of your revenue. So if you can begin to apply this to your business, Tim Ferriss says, I know he's next book, not today, but stick with me. He says, apply this to your business and you start outsourcing and delegating the things that don't matter, where you're spending your time that aren't generating results, right? But how do you apply this to picking your buyer persona? Think about it. 80-20. So if 80% of your efforts is inspiring 20% of your revenue, and if 20% of your efforts is implying 80% of your revenue, then which service is the most profitable for you, the highest performing? Now, you probably have a profit maximizer, right? That if they buy this, only 1 in 100 will buy it, but when they do, it's pure profit for you. That's great. That's not what I'm talking about here, okay? I want you to think about the most popular product you have. What are the people buying the most? What is the easiest way for somebody to enter your organization or business and be able to start spending money with you? If you can figure that out and say, oh, yeah, Yeah, that for me, editorial calendar all day long. If I could just do someone's editorial calendar, that will lead into me managing their social media. You see what I mean? So apply that to your business and figure it out. If you're a real estate agent and you're going after first-time home buyers, then that's going to be your product or service, okay? Versus you might be going for expired listings and for sale by owner and maybe military. Maybe those are the three categories you're going after. But 80% of the actual money you're making is from first-time home buyers. Then what that tells me is focus in on the first-time home buyers. So again, apply this to your business and figure out the product or service that is driving your revenue. 80% of your revenue is generally associated with one product or service. So pick that out. That takes me to tip number 2, where you're going to identify your top performing product or service. Captain Obvious, already went through that. Number 3 is you need to figure out what type of client is ideal for that product or service. So again, let's go back to the first-time home buyers. So first-time home buyers is where you get 80% of your revenue. So what clients need first-time home buyers? Well, Captain Obvious would be a first-time home owner. Okay, it's a little obvious in the example, but you see what I mean. You could also say, well, they're a first-time home buyer who generally is looking in this neighborhood, who, they have a young child or a child on the way. So you can extrapolate, right? It doesn't just have to be first-time home buyer. Give it a little bit of, some parameters about what type of first-time home buyers generate the most revenue for you. All right, so that is tip number 3. Tip number 4 then becomes, then think of a client that you've worked with that fits that mold and this is the kicker, and that you want 10 more just like. Don't do this fire persona for the client that drove you crazy. Please, you don't want 10 more of those, okay? So think of that first-time home buyer who was so rewarding to work with. They had a new baby on the way, and you were able to help them get that home, and now they're able to, be a first-time home buyer in their whole family, and they never imagined they'd own property, and they can, just celebrate with their friends and have a house for their family to grow up in, and the kids get to go to the right school district, and all of those things. Yes, find that client that you want 10 more just like. Then step number 5 is I want you to write down either their needs or their goals, okay? And they sound almost similar, but think about it from challenges and goals here, okay? So in the sense of what were they struggling with when you met them, or what did they need or want when you met them, okay? So goals and challenges, think of it like that. So if their goal was to buy a house, their challenge was they weren't able to they were getting outbid maybe on properties because it's a seller's market, right? So, or, if their goal was to be in this school district so their kids could go to school there, their challenge was that, all of the houses were getting multiple offers, or it was outside the price range, or the renovations that were required were too great, or they didn't have the financing ready, or they weren't pre-approved, or they didn't have, you can go down that list, right? But generally, and this is true again, regardless of industry, children's books to mortgage and lending, fashion to real estate, you either know their goals or their challenges. It's interesting. And I haven't found a pattern because some real estate agents know either one. So figure it out when you start brainstorming. You'll quickly realize if you know what their challenges were or what their goals were. And then you simply evaluate the other based on that one. So in this case, again, if they're a first-time home buyer, maybe you have a list of what their goals were. They wanted 3 bedrooms in this school district. They wanted, single story, master, by the kitchen, big backyard, no homeowners association. I don't know. Okay, you could write those lists, right? You looked for their house. But then the challenge becomes each one of those, you play devil's advocate. Okay, why weren't they able to easily find a single story home? Why weren't they able to get in that neighborhood? Why are their schools so renowned and hard to get into? Well, then you can kind of play devil's advocate. So if you know their goals, just say, why didn't they get that? Why don't they have that yet? And then write that down for their challenges. And then you wind up with their challenges and their goals, and then you can extrapolate pain points and values, okay? So this is tip number 6 here, where you can really begin to understand how they felt about it. think of it internal versus external, all right? So a pain point is the fact that I'm feeling triggered because my email is blowing up and I don't have enough time, okay? But the goal then is to have more time to check my email. The challenge becomes too many things going on to check my email. The pain point is I feel anxiety when I don't have time to check my email, and my value is communication and being able to have same-day communication with my clients. So you can see how one thing, you can spin it across all four. So think of challenges internal. What were they feeling? What triggers them on a day-to-day, things that happen to them? And those pain points, let me tell you, those challenges and pain points are the sweet spot of how you write a social media post. So you say, are you struggling with this? Do you need this? Great, you're in the right place. Click on the video, right? So again, make sure you do that. You also want to write down their obstacles or concerns. Now, this is where it gets really, really good. This is where it gets really easy. Let's say you didn't do any of this. You just say, Crystal, I don't have a buyer persona. I'm going to give you one. You say, I don't have time. Okay, you do. But you're like, I haven't done one. Okay, all right. Just take the time to figure out the product or service, then figure out that client you've worked with that you want 10 more just like related to that product or service, and then ask yourself, what were the questions they asked me before they got started? Brainstorm those out. Each one of them is a live broadcast. All right, I got a bonus tip. Can I be honest? I actually had 8 steps, but 7 sounded so much better. But no, really, the bonus tip here is you need to interview that client or do your own research online and figure out what sources of information they're following. What blogs are they reading? What books do they read? What YouTube influencers do they subscribe to? You know, what Facebook groups are they in? What LinkedIn groups are they in? Are they reading the magazine or a paper newspaper? Or are they going online to the Wall Street Journal? Narrow that down. And the reason why that's important is because you need to synergize with them by resharing that content that that client cares about to show you're an influencer and a leader, a thought leader on that topic. And bonus points, every time you reshare that content, you're getting on the radar of those people and those influencers and all of their following. So with that, hopefully you are ready to go ahead and fill out your buyer persona so you can start taking massive action and start crushing it and living life on your own terms. So if you want your buyer persona, go ahead and DM the Facebook page on the Facebook channel, of course, 333 Social Media. You can also comment below with your email or go ahead and send an email to crystal@333socialmedia.com. Get a hold of us and we'll send you the buyer persona. You can also go to 333socialmedia.com and download the buyer persona from there as well. So let us know how we can help you, but the form is there and it walks you through the template of how to take massive action. And you don't have to fake it to make it. That's the other thing I love about what Gary Vee is saying. There are no more gatekeepers or directors or talent agencies or people that are going to determine whether you're worthy enough to get seen. Now, with the power of the cell phone, you simply turn it sideways and hit go live, and you have the power of getting in front of the people who know, like, and trust you. Because on YouTube and Facebook, it's very easy to put the emails of the people who already know you inside so you can make that video get seen by the people who are most likely to convert, refer you business, or engage with that video. So stop spending all your money and trying to get seen with what I call a cold audience based on zip codes and keywords, and start taking massive action, creating compelling content on what your clients already care about, and then direct market your existing sphere of influence. I feel so much better now that I got that off my chest. What questions do you still have? Does this make sense? Are you prepared to do your buyer persona? What's stopping you? I want you to comment below. And if you want some more social media tips on tech, app, and software, I want you to join me for Tech Tuesday on Facebook Live, where we go live on the 333 Social Media Facebook page every Tuesday. That's Tech Tuesday at 3:33 p.m. I know you're shocked, all right? Time of the day, best time of the day, 3:33. So again, that's Tech Tuesday on Facebook. That's a live broadcast where you can ask me questions. And if you want an actual strategy seminar, those are gonna be shorter tips on Facebook. Long, full strategy right here on YouTube every Thursday at 3:33 p.m. So make sure you bring in your Friday Eve with me and join me at 3:33 p.m. so you can get access to top tips to help you be able to harness the power of live video. Now, we are giving away full kits today based on who commented last week. So we'll comment and reach out to you to let you know who wins. But all you got to do is comment. YouTube is so easy. On Facebook, you can have 60, 70 comments any day of the week on a broadcast. But right now on YouTube, there may be 1, 2, 3, maybe 5 comments. So you can win so easy. And I'm giving away a full Go Live startup kit. So you get your tripod, your cell phone adapter, your selfie light, your lapel mic for 2, and a bag to carry it in. It's a $97 value. So make sure you comment below so you can enter to win your Go Live startup kit. And in the end, all I want you to do is stop making excuses and start taking action. This is your time to be able to step up and become an influencer using live video and social media and the tips that Gary Vee and I are delivering. So stay with us, and we want to offer you a breakthrough so you can go live and go live with confidence. And just remember, you just got to comment to win. So comment here and comment on Facebook. Both ones enter to win. Now, I'm going to sign off with my Gary Vee quote, and I want you to remember, the only thing stopping you from achieving a lasting career and life happiness is you. So stop standing in your own way and go live often. I'm Crystal Lindsay, and this is a 333 social media, and I'll see you next week at 3:33 p.m. on Thursday. Ciao, ciao.